Good morning to everybody. Esteemed rectors of Pompeu Fabra University and the Autonomous University of Barcelona, President of the Barcelona School of Economics, graduates, faculty and members, family and friends. First and foremost, I would like to thank the Barcelona Graduate School of Economics for honoring me with their invitation to stand before you today and share a few words as we celebrate a new graduation ceremony. And of course, my congratulations to the graduates and their family and friends. You should all feel rightfully proud of yourself for having reached this milestone in your life. It means you have made a sacrifice to complete the work required of you. You have met challenges head-on and not settled for less in life. This reminds me of something Willy Brandt, a prestigious politician, a former Chancellor of Germany, often said, and which remains engraved in his epitaph. I did what I could. This is invariably what really matters, to spare no effort, to ignore the easy route of complacency. This is a truly special occasion. For me, it is always an immense pleasure to be close to the classrooms and in the presence of students, reliving the thrill of being about to set out on your journey and of putting theory into practice. Having the opportunity to speak to a group of new graduates, such as yourself, who are now starting their journey in the professional world, is both a privilege and a responsibility. All the more so when we remember that because of your top drawer profiles and accomplishments to date, and because you have graduated from such a prestigious institution, you represent the pinnacle of academic excellence. In these few minutes I intend to share with you, I will be happy if you take away one or two things that may prove useful in dealing with the many challenges that await you in life. I'm sure that during this last year you have been thinking not only about your aims in life, but also about what society demands of you. I will try to answer the latter point for you. Society demands you to be the leaders of tomorrow. But what is a leader supposed to be? Despite being such a commonly used word, it rarely has a satisfactory definition. What I can tell you, however, is what a leader is not. A leader is not a manager. A manager is someone who knows how to manage complex affairs with varying degrees of success, but who acts consistently and following a set procedure. Fortunately, this is not too hard to learn. A leader, on the other hand, is something quite different. A leader is someone who knows how to anticipate change, someone who sees what others are unable to see, someone who stays one step ahead of events and manages them before they happen. We might say that leadership is simply the ability to manage change. As I look at you, I see an excellent diverse group of individuals from different countries across the globe. Yet, I also see many things in common. Looking at your average age, roughly 25, I realize that you have all grown up and developed in the communication society, in which everything can be found on the internet, in which everything is shared, and in which everything is consulted. Despite your diversity, in this regard, you are all alike and you speak the same language. And this is also how your future style of leadership should be, shared and collaborative, never individualistic. You must surround yourself with people different to you and who have different points of view, as they will broaden your horizons and enrich the way you see things. Seek the opinions of others, even though you may not like what you hear. Do not ever be afraid to ask, as he who is afraid to ask is afraid to learn. And if leading means managing change, then, without doubt, leadership becomes more interesting the quicker and more unpredictable the changes become. None more so than in the current environment. The world has never been more complex, owing to the interaction and crossover of so many variables. And precisely for this reason, changes are happening more rapidly than ever. Whereas other periods in history can be seen as transition periods between different states of equilibrium, the world today has done away with this balance to become a constantly flowing stream of endless changes. An engineer would say that we are in a permanent state of a turbulent flow. You need only read the press each morning to see and appreciate the extent of this. Therefore, as I have often said, in these times we live in, it is not a question of changing context, but rather than change is the context. So, how do we respond to this paradigm? As I see things, to successfully navigate change, we must try to determine which point on the horizon we are heading for and how to get there. And I use the term horizon because it has something in common with the future. It allows us to set a course, but remains distant no matter how far we travel. Of course, I do not claim to know what the future holds, but what I can tell you for sure is that the two main drivers and builders of the future are technology and society. For the most part, anticipating the future means understanding the disruptive changes that pave the way for technological advances and being able to visualize what society is going to demand even before society itself knows it. Our ability to anticipate and respond accordingly to disruptive changes has produced winners and losers as the years go by. Without dwelling on the matter, there are a couple of eye-opening examples I may mention. In 2004, Blockbuster had 60,000 employees across numerous countries, yet it failed to appreciate and understand the rapid emergence of digital media and insisted on portraying itself as a rental company for movies and video games. Instead of morphing into an entertainment company, it was declared bankrupt in September 2010. On the flip side of the coin, Apple launched its iPod in 2001 as a digital music player, while in 2013, its online iTunes store sold 25 billion songs downloaded worldwide. I think this example is very revealing because the iPod-iTunes pairing provides an excellent example of how technology and social aspirations can be successfully combined, in the case making Apple almost invincible. Nokia was forced to sell its mobile phone division to Microsoft last year because of its failure to foresee the importance of the Internet in the world of telephony, in stark contrast to the extraordinary success Samsung is currently enjoying. Let us not forget that roughly 1 million smartphones are registered every day across the globe, more than the number of babies being born. And nearly half of all new smartphones are Samsung devices. After a successful 130 years in business, Kodak declared itself bankrupt in 2012, as it was simply unable to adapt its business to the new digital backdrop. In 1986, 4 employees set up Nespresso in Switzerland. The company currently boasts over 4,500 employees and is the most profitable business of the Nestlé Group. Lessons can be learned from everything. Although my company, Repsol, does not operate in any of this rapidly changing and tumultuous sector, we should never lose sight on these valuable lessons. Allow me to share with you a few thoughts on the reality of my company. Could similar stories unfold in the energy sector? Perhaps not as dramatically or as quickly, but there can be no doubt that the energy sector is going to witness a major transformation over the coming 20 years. And the success or failure of our strategic responses today will hinge on how clever and accurate we are at anticipating the changes. I believe the following theorem, which has two axioms, sums up the reasons behind the changes we are likely to see and the future outlook for the energy sector. The global society will continue to demand more and more energy as it continues its fights against poverty and in pursuing greater levels of well-being. In tandem with this, society is becoming increasingly vocal in demanding that we decarbonize our production and consumption models so as not to bring about climate changes that could prove catastrophic for generations to come. This is already a pressing concern, yet I believe it will be even more so following the World Climate Summit to be held in Paris towards the end of the year, which must surely result in a multilateral agreement of unprecedented reach in the fight against climate change. I believe that the event will also help to generate a sense of urgency in the international public opinion, something we cannot possibly ignore. Claiming that these two objectives are mutually exclusive or an impossible fit simply means that one has failed to see things as they are. A business-usual approach and seeing things as we have always seen them can only lead to failure and even melancholy, as often happens when our work comes to nothing. We must be able to find the intersection linking these two routes, which have until now run in an apparently parallel model. By linking them up, we can progress along a single path heading in the same direction. To achieve this, we must listen to society, as social trends and patterns tend to indicate the path to follow. Let's be honest, as business people, we sometimes feel we know how things really are. But when the business world and society disagree, it is more likely that we have made a mistake than everyone else being wrong. Perhaps it is just a question of time. I have no doubt that the interests and priorities that society is expressing today will be the interests and priorities of our shareholders tomorrow. The future key to reaching this intersection of the two objectives is being able to use three essential tools: innovation culture, commitment to talent, and globalization. Allow me to explain how I see these concepts. Firstly, the innovation culture means stepping well outside our comfort zone. There is no greater threat to innovation than complacency. As soon as we slip into a comfortable routine because we believe we are doing things well enough, alarm bells should ring. We must remain permanently unsatisfied with our creative endeavors. That does not mean that things can always be done better, but that things must always be done better. For a true innovation culture to exist, we must also make sure that people are not afraid to make mistakes. When properly analyzed, mistakes are one of the most powerful learning tools. He who remains overly cautious for fear of failure will end up in a rut. Only by accepting our mistakes and the risk of getting it wrong can we create the space needed for the disruptive technological solutions we need to emerge. Secondly, there is no more powerful tool to bring about transformation than human talent. In a bunch of young talented people working out of a garage, having taken the world as we know it by storm, and has happened in many other occasions, imagine the possibilities in store if we create a global ecosystem for detecting and nourishing talent. And talent has a unique characteristic. You never know where you are going to find it, in men or in women, in conventional or unconventional capabilities, in people that speak different languages and who have different nationalities and cultures, in people of any ethnic origin, creed, or social background. There is nothing in the world more democratic and globally distributed than talent. But for talent to flourish, all we need is a good educational system, support for bold creativity and enterprises, and respect for diversity. And on a final note, I would like to briefly discuss globalization as our third tool. In reality, the concept is parallel to the two aspects I have just mentioned. In my opinion, globalization is far from being a more sophisticated version of internationalization. Understanding globalization means picturing the giant value chain up of flows of ideas and resources, innovation and talent, all interacting and merging across the globe. The global value chain is in permanent flux, creating new paradigms while casting off others. New challenges and opportunities are constantly emerging, along with new competitors and patterns and partners, problems and the talent need to get around them. I do hope I have been able to transmit today some of the concepts that have guided me over the course of my career, in which I have learned to recognize talent on first glance. And I can tell you that there is a lot on display before me now. I know that many leaders of tomorrow will walk away from these classrooms today, and this is both a major challenge and a huge responsibility. Once again, congratulations, and I wish you all the success you so richly deserve. I am in no doubt that whenever you may be, your success will speak volumes about your personal merits and the level of excellence that our Barcelona Graduate School of Economics has reached in such a short period of time. Thank you very much for your attention.